my peoples, what's up? My name is Jason and I'm here for a Dice Tower review. Thank you so much for stopping by. Today I have a review of Rush MD. This one is from Artipia Games. It is the sequel, spiritual successor, whatever that phrase is nowadays, to a game called Kitchen Rush. Both of them are cooperative real-time games for 1 to 4 players. In Rush MD, you're going to be treating patients, taking them into the waiting room and bringing them to different wards around the hospital and getting them treatment and manipulating things along the way with timers for workers. So a real-time experience, very frantic. By the end of the 4 minutes that each round takes, you're going to be going, oh. Exactly what the game is going for. I tell you all about it, how it works. So without further ado, let's go to the videotape. All right, welcome to a game fully laid out of Rush MD. And if this looks like a giant playing surface, you are not wrong. I mean, this is bigger than one of them Fantasy Flight Arkham boards. This thing is a huge table hog. The setup is very involved. Something that to note getting into this one. But take my word for it. Once you get into it, it actually all comes together in a package that is basically a worker placement game. So every character is going to have a worker, which is their doctor. And they're going to have access to common workers, which are the nurses. And these spots over here, so where the little symbol over here will be a nurse spot, and there's a doctor spot, you are going to be placing your characters on these worker spots all over the place, getting these patients to hospital beds, getting treatment onto the cards. It all comes from these worker spots, and they're timed. So then if I put a worker down, let's say I put a worker down here, I would flip the timer. I would not be able to remove the character until they are quote unquote done doing their work. So, a lot of mistakes are going to be made pretty early, but you get your eye level a little bit lower so that you can see everything. Man, I almost wish I could just take the top off of some of these things so I could see them a little bit easier. But you get your eye level down, you check out when their timer is done, and when they're done, they're free to be moved elsewhere. Being a real-time game, workers are going to be flying all over the place. One of the things that I am a little bit concerned about with the componentry is the circles. Both in this game and in Kitchen Rush, I just found these to be a little bit less stable than I wanted. Lots and lots of knockdown pieces, especially when you're getting used to the game. As you may have surmised with a game called Rush MD, the central goal is to treat patients. You are, at the beginning of the game, going to draw from this objective deck. So 1 player, 2 players, 3 players, and it'll tell you generally what you want to do. I'll give you a goal, treat at least 16 patients. 4 more complicated patients. We'll get to that in just a second. So the slightly different ways of approaching it, but for the most part, you're going to be try to treat as many of these as possible. These are the harder patients to treat. These ones a little bit easier, so I'll go ahead and demonstrate that. Let me say I want to take a nurse. The nurse will go over there, and they will pull 3 patients. I'm going to call them clients. I call them clients in my psychotherapy. So if I slip between client and patient, sorry about that. Patients. Anyway, so I could pull from this truck, but just for this demonstration, I'm going to pull from here. This is an example of an easy-to-treat character. They're not very in critical condition. I can get to them whenever I get to them. But this person is in trouble. No. There were 3 points, but they are in critical condition. I got to get them treated right away. All right, so the first thing I want to do is I want to take one of my doctors or nurses and I want to put them here to begin treatment in the outpatient clinic in the comfortable bed that I have for them over there. What I want to do is I want to gather these resources and put them on the card. They come from the pharmacy. So the pharmacy, hopefully you'll have it well stocked and it has everything that you need. So in this particular case, I would want to give them 2 IV bags. Hopefully that's saline. That would be nice. I noticed that I need 3 of these white medicines. I don't have that in the pharmacy. So I would take another worker. Remember, these are common. Put that over there, get some more medicine in there, and then be able to have that for the patient. And now we have this syringe, which might be one of the most unique component tricks that I've seen in a game. So then I would take this out, and I would hopefully have enough blood in the blood bank, and I would put those in there so that this patient requires 4. So then I would have that. I would have this very evocative little component over there, and that would represent a treated patient. All that is happening in real time. It could be a little bit hard to keep track of. If at the end of the round that you've either made a mistake or you haven't fulfilled their treatment, then you get negative points, and those negative points are going to hinder your ability to win the game. That seemed easy, right? Well, Rush MD is not going to let you down in terms of difficulty. Here we go with the more harder to treat patients. So then I am going to go again with my nurse. I mean, not skip steps. And then bring in some more characters who need to be treated. So they are going to come in a couple of varieties. The first variety is going to need, you know exactly what they need, and and you could just treat them right away. In this case, at a surgery table, which I'll tell you in a second, these two need to be scanned. Either way, a doctor, because of this color symbol, has to be here, and they have to be brought to as many as you can, to the hospital wards. So that is this component right here, which I think is just super snazzy. I mean, could you believe this? Totally cardboard, and the cards kind of stick in there, and so will the components that you need to treat them. So I said that this person needs surgery, so I'm going to go, another doctor is going to appear over here, and they are going to bring this person into the operating room. So as you can see, that it's pretty explicit about what is needed. If it is surgery, then the game gives you an extra layer of complication. You have to use these tweezers in order to get the blood capsules into to the syringe. As you can see, my dexterity is not that great. Not going to demonstrate on the camera, or else I'll be here all night. All right, but let's say I did that. There is blood in there, and then I would take tweezers for basically everything on this card, and I would put the medicine in there too. And then there is a organ. In this particular case, there is a bone that needs to be put in there. So then I would take a doctor, because only doctors can handle sensitive organs. I would use my tweezers, and I would take what I thought was necessary. In this particular case, I'll take the bone, and since I could take 2, I'll have a heart in there for later. And then this person would do the surgery and then put the bone in there, and that would represent a cured patient. They would go back to the patient ward. Hopefully, at the end of the round, they're treated, they leave. Once again, they're not treated, negative points. No. So then we get to more complicated scanning and treatment. Let's say I'm treating my lady over here. These symbols over here match up with the examination rooms, the labs, diagnostic imaging, and so forth. You see these little figures will match up with scans that the card will want. So then this card will go over to the cultures area, and then you perform a test. And this is where the game really makes itself distinguished and felt. So then if I have this as the top card, I would look at these cultures tiles, and I would go, I'm in real time, please let me figure out, oh, there we go, I have matched it. And then I would take this, and it would tell me, okay, this person needs all this stuff. And I would put that in their bed. So then I could move them over, or I could move them over here to this area. This is the magnetic resonance area. I would put the piece down there, and it has to be a doctor. So the doctor is going to go there, and it is going to wait. That's what an MRI machine sounds like, I swear. Oh, my daughter loved it when I was doing sound machines waiting for this thing to finish. Anyway, so when it does finish, then you would be able to reel that card. You would compare the two, and you would look at whatever is the most pressing. So in this case, it would be the number 3 right there. So then that would be the requirements right there. And then it would go back to treatment, and then you would have to put the same pieces that you did before, only now you know you need a 3 syringe, a 2 blood syringe. They need to go to operating table. A lot of different things have to happen to treat that patient. But you do get 6 points. So a very high scoring patient if you're able to treat them. Let's say I'm going to break some rules and just to demonstrate these 2 areas. So this would be, forget exactly what this is. Another kind of like resonance place, but I would match what this here. So let me go ahead and turn that the right way. And then I would move that there, shenanigans with the tweezers. Looking at my white, getting the white together, and then I would turn that over, and that would be the thing to do. Sometimes there are going to be these epidemic things. So then if the patient reveals an epidemic, then you would go to this card over here. You would turn one of these over, and then everybody in the ward would require this extra treatment in order to be released and be counted as treated. You don't have to play with these if your group is a little bit overwhelmed by what's going on. Lastly, we can go to the X-ray. The X-ray works like this. You go ahead and check their bed number, and then you would look for a card that does not have B1. I see B1 right there. I see B1 right there. I see B1. Oh my God, the time is ticking. B1, 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 B1. I think this is it. I hope I'm not wrong. And then that would do the same thing. So 4 little discrete mini games that evoke the feeling of paying attention to a client, a patient, and treating them, diagnosing them via these mini games. So at the end of the round, you would evaluate your score. You would get prestige for patients that you have treated successfully. You would lose these medical points for patients you have treated, for if you let them go or you did a mistake or something like that. These can crisscross, so you'll get more and more prestige. You'll lose some medical points. If this ever reaches 0, that is one of the loss conditions of the game. You have 4 rounds, 4 minutes each. For solo, you will have 5 minutes to see if you can win Rush MD. So that was Rush MD at the table. And I want to set the context that I love cooperative real-time. Love it. I've played them all. I own most of them. Space Alert from Vlada Chvato's right here is one of my first loves. I have Escape up above the camera somewhere. Fuse was another one, dice rolling, and the previous game to this one, Kitchen Rush, a few others. So Rush MD, this is going to be a positive review because I love the genre so much. It's just a question of where does it situate? How does it distinguish itself from these other games? So I'll say right now, I feel like Rush MD is the most thematic of the cooperative real-time games that I've played. Bar none, right? I don't think it's even close, which is generally a great thing. I think there's a concern that I have, and I'll check the concern in just a second. Let's get with the good stuff. The flow of the patients, the kinetic experience of playing this game and bringing patients from the observation area, bringing treatment to them, physically putting components down on the outpatient clinic, and then the inpatient, bringing them to the bed. That bed is amazing. Form, function, gameplay, but also thematic evocativeness. You can put pieces in there so it works as a game element, but the thematic integration is there as well, right together. The bed, maybe, if I had to write like a top 5 favorite components in terms of integration into gameplay, that bed is actually going to be there. I loved it. And, wheeling it around to the different places, doing surgery. And I love what they did with the hospital beds. So then that's a great thing in terms of the theme. My hesitation when it comes to the theme is that the game makes a lot of other choices in terms of adding these wrinkly bits that are there for theme, but may take away from like simple and elegant gameplay. The syringes are so cool. As an idea, in practice, if putting them in that isn't so the stuff in isn't so bad when it's in the outpatient, but if they're in surgery, you have to use the tweezers. Ooh, man! I definitely kind of outsource that one to somebody else as far as possible. So if your group doesn't have that, then that's kind of a difficult thing in terms of the tweezer play, especially with the syringes. And then you have the mini games. So the mini games are going to make or break your experience here, I think. If you don't like cooperative real time, then you don't even listen to this review. This game's 2 out of 10 for you. But if you do, those mini games are really what separate Russian B from, the other games. Getting down to it, they're meant to be evocative. They're meant to be thematic. Are you going to enjoy that little break, that little 20-second break in your experience? Are you going to enjoy balancing the worker for the MRI machine and going like this? Or like taking care of something else and remembering that the MRI machine is running? Are you going to enjoy the flipping of the tiles or the manipulation of the little bits on the Y for that test? Are you going to be able to kind of shift your brain around and get those done? You don't do them that often. You don't need to do that into the entire game, but that does kind of splash in there in terms of a thing to do. So thematic, yes. Elegant, not really. I think there's that trade-off. And it stands out in reference to Kitchen Rush. Kitchen Rush didn't have all that. It basically had just, it had flow, but it didn't have any of that kind of like wrinkly bits in terms of its design. You moved clients or moved customers in that game from one place to another. You did the pantry thing. You filled up the pantry. You cooked the meal. Combining stuff, and then just like that. So it was very evocative that way. I found Kitchen Rush to be a little bit more elegant, simpler. It was a lower barrier of entry in terms of showing this to somebody else. I found physically, just as a physical board experience. Rush MD is more immersive thematically. So if you have a lot of people who are kind of imaginative that way, Rush MD might be worth that extra little bit of, mini game and everything else that's happening here. But in terms of just, card play and getting things together, Kitchen Rush, I found Rush MD made me want to play Kitchen Rush a little bit more. Not to say that Rush MD is a bad game, though. When I say something is the most thematic cooperative real time that I've played, I mean it. So on that basis, I'm going to go 8 out of 10 seal of approval. So I really dug Rush MD, sticking around for me. Cooperative real time is my thing, and I'm very happy to add that experience to my collection. So this is Jason reminding you, if you could change your mind, you could change the world. So until next time, lay everybody.